Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions, and thank you again so much for our time together. I'd like us to go back to Matthew chapter 26 today and look at the life of Judas. Now, yes, I know he's a negative subject, but there are very positive lessons and great warnings that we can learn from negative stories like Judas. The lesson I want us to see today is that the loyalty of rebellion is one way. Rebellion is by definition selfish. Do you remember how the Bible says that there are men who will rise up among you and draw men after themselves? Notice, draw men after themselves. It's a one-way street. There's no two-way loyalty. I'd like you to notice some of the things that happened here in Matthew chapter 26. As we put it together with the other Gospels, we notice that the criticism of Jesus and the beautiful gift that this woman gave Jesus, the criticism started with Judas, and Judas got everybody else involved in criticizing Jesus, didn't want Jesus to have this beautiful gift, but the criticism all started with Judas. And the Bible says the reason for this is not because he cared about the poor, but because he used to steal. So there we see the selfishness. Now we go on, and we find in verse 14, then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priest and asked, "What are you willing to give me if I hand him over to you?" Not what are you willing to give us. There's no loyalty toward the other apostles. What are you willing to give me? Now, I want to encourage you in the world that we live in today, in your offices, in churches, in families, when you find rebellion beginning to creep up and people beginning to want you to follow them and join them in their campaigns and join them in their crusades about what they think, I want you to remember Judas. Rebellion is always selfish. They want you to join them. They want you to adopt their opinions. But when it comes down to the bottom line, it's all about me. What are you willing to give me? So many times in my life, I've watched young men and young women across the world in churches lead rebellions. I've watched young men and young women in governments, in military organizations, lead rebellions. And then they look around one day and they discover that all these people that they thought they were following and that they worked so hard, those people don't even remember who they were. And they're left by the wayside, forgotten. These people that participated in rebellion and followed that leader who professed great loyalty to them, these people are often very resentful, full of bitterness and anger, because they lost everything to follow someone who looked at loyalty as a one-way street. I challenge you today. Don't let people pull you off after themselves. Follow the people God has called you to follow, whether it's in church, whether it's in the government, whether it's in your offices, whether it's in your family. Follow the people that God called you to follow, because you'll find in those relationships, loyalty goes both ways. But in rebellious relationships, loyalty only goes one way. It only goes, I'm going to be loyal to the leader, I'm going to follow him, but when I have a need, the leader says, what are you willing to give me? Something to remember today. Rebellion is selfish.